Plant care seems straightforward enough, until it isn't. To start, my red arrow Syngonium was doing so well, so much so that I attached it to the trunk of my ficus lyrata, until it just started rapidly getting yellow leaves. Overwatered, I thought, and when I began to address the issue, I couldn't have been more surprised at what I discovered. This has surely given me trust issues now. An interesting situation to say the least, while the roots trapped within dried and died. I snipped the rotting parts off and tried to save what remained by propagating it through my shrimp tank, which did wonders previously for my spathiphyllums. We'll circle back on the red arrows later in the video. The aquarium moss has proliferated immensely, so much so that it was acting as a magnet for debris and weakening the water flow, which is quite crucial for the health of the tank. So it needed a big trimming once again. I struggled to optimize for a new setup that would allow for better water flow, but the driftwood was simply too big for the shrimp tank. I also wanted a black substrate, but being suspicious of these I got from the dollar store, I poured boiling water and voila, it was merely dyed black. Thank God I tested it first, otherwise it would have been a disaster. As such, I settled for this setup where I tied the moss on 2 rocks. I know, it looks hideous, but it's a temporary setup until I can source authentic black substrate. And moss always looks bad after a trimming or a new setup. It's just a matter of time until it looks great again, like this here before. I'll also be propagating the extra moss for future use. And of course, I was hit yet again with another misfortune as the bag of fake black gravel fell on my Aglaonema and snapped the stem. Oh well, another propagation I didn't plan for. In other chores, this is a Phalaenopsis orchid that was gifted to my mother as part of well wishes for her surgery. Of course, she handed it over in my care and it was doing well for weeks, up until Mealy bugs decided to manifest their existence on it. After thorough inspection, it seems they are localized on the orchid's flowers and spike. I wasn't planning owning an orchid, at least anytime soon, and surely I was tempted to just toss it away. But I decided to treat it and simply snip off the affected parts while keeping parts of the spikes with nodes. I even recently repotted this, but I think I'd rather just have it in water. I saw a YouTube short that showed this was possible. To be honest, I'm not all that invested in this plant anyway, so whatever happens, happens. Now, this is the saddest Madagascar periwinkle that was sorely neglected once winter came. I thought it had died, but after watering it a week ago, I was surprised to see new growth. Hey, if she wants to live, then who am I to deny her a chance at a new beginning? I just trimmed most of it and we'll see how it will grow back. These chili peppers were also just as neglected as the periwinkle, but it's still hanging in there. Since I gave the periwinkle a chance, why not them? I'm really just curious to see how they will grow back, if they grow back. Moving on, the baby toes succulent is still with me, but barely. I think my major mistake was keeping it indoors during the fall and winter season where lighting is simply insufficient. Also, the peat heavy substrate they used just isn't ideal for this plant. It easily gets compacted and hydrophobic. No wonder it's not doing well. The little roots that remain are likely not getting enough water. So I'm changing it to a grittier mixture. I'm mixing in some aquarium sand I have left over, and hopefully this mix will do the trick. I previously tried to save these string of hearts that got overwatered. I used forest moss, the ones used for reptile terrariums, because I couldn't find sphagnum moss in my country. As you can see, the string of hearts are propagating nicely and have formed bulbs and roots. But this type of moss isn't ideal because it stinks. Like literally. That's because it isn't pure moss, there are other organic material in it. But I was finally able to source sphagnum from a local online store, and so I'm replacing it with the right moss. I can say that sphagnum is fantastic, and I really like how it smells. Now back to my Syngonium red arrow. After a few days, it was not doing as expected. Mold was growing along the stem, and so I sterilized it with hydrogen peroxide. I was having the exact same issue with my Syngonium lime. Placed it back in the shrimp tank, only to get mold all over again, so I had to approach it differently. And so I treated them once again with hydrogen peroxide to sterilize before transferring them this time to sphagnum. I've heard all about how sphagnum moss is a great way to heal a plant and promote root growth. This is my last ditch effort, and I'm very much hoping they'll take up this time around. I'll be sure to update you all on their progress in the future. If you've stuck around till this part of the video, I appreciate it and I thank you for watching. And as always, take care.